It's funny. Sometimes the wildest thoughts pop into your head when you're just staring at something ordinary. I was in my backyard, watching a line of ants carry a breadcrumb, and I thought, what if they were carrying something bigger, like way bigger? What if, overnight, the whole size rulebook for life on Earth just got flipped upside down? What if the smallest things became the biggest, and the biggest things became the smallest? Not just a big ant, but where ants are the new whales and whales are the new ants. The whole food chain just inverted. How would that world even work? Let's break it down. Not as a story, but as a real what if. The moment it happens is probably silent. No bang. But the first hour, that's when the physics hits you like a truck. Or more accurately, a falling raindrop the size of a beach ball. See, the square cube law is the real star of this nightmare. When you scale an ant up to blue whale size, its volume and weight increase by the cube of its scaling factor, but the cross-sectional area of its legs only increases by the square. The result? For our poor mega-ant, moving would be like a regular ant trying to move while completely encased in solid concrete. Most of these newly giant insects wouldn't be rampaging monsters. They'd be stuck, immobilized under their own weight, suffocating because their passive tracheal breathing systems can't support a body that massive. The world's first casualties are the giant insects themselves, a forest of twitching, dying skyscrapers. The immediate threat isn't being eaten. It's being crushed by a collapsing exoskeleton the size of a building. But some would make it. The ones with the right body plans. Like the arachnids, big, leggy harvestmen or tarantulas might handle the new scale a bit better. For us humans, the first week is less about monsters and more about a sudden, catastrophic failure of everything we built. Roads crack under the weight of a giant earthworm passing underneath. Power lines are sheared by a beetle's antennae. A single foraging mega-ant might collapse an entire apartment complex just by leaning against it for a salty snack from the bricks. Our world becomes structurally unsound. We're not hiding from predators. We're evacuating crumbling cities that are turning into chitinous, biological junkyards. Food is the first big crisis. But here's a strange, early adaptation. In this inverted world, the tiny former giants are our secret resource. A single, speck-sized blue whale, which now filters microscopic plankton from a puddle, is a dense, oily package of nearly pure fat and protein. A few dozen could feed a person. We'd become micro-whalers with eyedroppers and fine mesh nets. Plants are a different story. A blade of grass is now a tough, fibrous tree. We'd be scavenging seeds like they were watermelons and trying to cultivate microscopic, fast-growing algae or fungi in protected tanks, using the colossal amounts of nutrient-rich waste from the failed giant insects as fertilizer. Fast forward a month. With most big insects immobilized or dead, a new ecosystem starts to assert itself from the middle. The real danger zone? The animals that got scaled up to just the right size to be mobile and deadly. Think house cat to tiger size, praying mantis the length of a car. A swarm of normal-sized wasps would now be a cloud of drone-sized stingers. Our predators are no longer lions and bears. They're the things we used to swat away. Human survival shifts to the small, the fortified, and the hidden. We're living in reinforced basements, sewer systems, and mountain tunnels the big bugs can't fit into. We'd become experts in camouflage and repelling insects on a manageable, but still terrifying, scale. Citronella becomes a vital strategic resource. Knowledge of entomology is now survival science. Knowing that certain beetles are attracted to rotting wood might draw them away from your shelter. Knowing that a giant moth can't navigate in very high-frequency sound might let you create a silent zone. After a year, the landscape itself is transformed. The dead and decaying bodies of the failed megafauna become the new geographical features, mountains of chitin and shell that slowly erode, creating new, mineral-rich soils. Fast-growing plants adapted to this weird nutrient dump create a strange, super-dense underbrush. Human civilization is now networked, secretive, and decentralized. Large, centralized farms are impossible. Instead, we have distributed, vertical microagriculture in sheltered spaces. Communication is through secure, low-power networks. Our tech adapts. Stronger materials inspired by spider silk or beetle shells, silent electric vehicles to avoid attracting attention, and sophisticated sensor nets to monitor for mid-level predator movement. 10 years later, this is the new Earth. It's a planet that belongs to the arthropods of the middle scale. The air might buzz with dragonflies that have a 6-foot wingspan. The forests are a mix of giant, ancient trees and massive, fast-growing fungal towers. We humans have carved out a niche as the smartest, most adaptable burrowers. We're not at the top, but we're not at the bottom either. Our ecological role is something brand new, the ecosystem engineers of the microscale. We'd manage the populations of the truly tiny, like the microscopic former whales, for food, and carefully cultivate the plant life that can thrive in the shadows of the new giants. Our greatest skill would be redirecting the flows of this new ecosystem for our benefit, without ever being able to truly control it. The brutal, final lesson from this inverted world? It's not strength or ferocity that determines who rules an ecosystem. It's efficiency and adaptation to the fundamental rules of physics and biology. The dinosaurs of this new age aren't reptiles. They're the insects and arachnids that happen to have a body plan that could just barely function at a larger scale. And we'd learn that our place was never guaranteed. It was earned by our brains, sure, but only because we used them to learn the new, harsh rules instead of trying to fight them. So, think about that the next time you see an ant. The success isn't about its size. It's about being perfectly adapted to its scale. And in a world where that scale flipped, everything we know about who's important and who's not goes right out the window. In that world, what skill do you bring to the table? Are you the biologist, the engineer, the quiet scout? What's your survival plan in an upside-down food chain? Let's brainstorm in the comments.